Good evening, everyone. My name is Orville Dashgupta. I did my bachelor's from University of Calcutta in chemical engineering. Then I did my master's at IIT Kanpur, and I'm currently doing my PhD at Cornell University. So this idea of making this video came to me because just after passing your 12 exams and giving your JE, you're confused, like which which branch of engineering to select or not. So that's why I thought that maybe I'll just give you my experience of chemical engineering and my thoughts about it. Now I cannot really talk about the other branches, but I guess after looking at this video you will be having a fair amount of idea whether to go for chemical engineering or not to go for chemical engineering. At least you will get some clarity, like what are the future aspects that can be done in chemical engineering and not. So oh, by the way, another important thing is that this is a very crucial point of your time where you're going to make a very important decision, right? So do not be influenced by anyone's let's say there is some senior in your family who has done something and he's telling you to do that particular thing. Do not get influenced. Just go through all the possible options and then decide what you want to do or have to do, right? So be very careful right now because a major part of your life is going to depend on what you're deciding. But don't worry too much also. Like, the thing is, whatever decision you're going to take, before taking that decision, think a lot. Go through the various resources, talk with people who have done those things which you want to do in your particular area. After that, you sit quietly and then you make a decision that whether or not you're going to pursue this particular thing or not. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a moment. So I think my screen is being shared now. Is it? Yeah, it is. Okay. So one thing that I want to talk about is, I mean, the thing which I'm going to write over here is kind of general, no matter what branch of engineering you're choosing, be it chemical or mechanical or anything. So I will try to give you some future ideas, like after doing your bachelor's, what you can do, like after BTech. So before you jump into doing bachelor's or anything, I think it is better to know what are the available options that you have got after you finish your bachelor's. So one of the things which people generally do is that they go for a job, like after doing their bachelor's degree. Now, when you're going for a job, you need to understand that there are majorly two categories of job that you can go for. One is core jobs, another is non-core jobs. Actually, you can divide it in various kinds of categories if you want. Like, this is one category of job. There's another category of job which is government job and private job, the government sector and private sector. I'll be talking about all of these. Then this is like one of the so I'd say that 70 to 80% students generally go for a job, or they at least want to go for a job. Now, it may be because of many reasons. Some of the reasons may be because they have to go for jobs, since in their family there is some requirement that someone needs, that their uh, child needs to take a job to support them or something. Now there are some fraction of students who go for higher studies. Now, okay, before talking about higher studies and job, I want to talk about some more areas where you can go after completing your bachelor's. You can go for an MBA by giving the CAT exam, and you can also go for business and stuff. Like when you're doing your bachelor's and stuff, you sometimes get varieties of ideas on which you can work on, and then you basically go for entrepreneurship. Now, I cannot give you much idea regarding MBA or this entrepreneurship part, but what I can tell you is about the job area and the higher studies. Now, there are two types of job, like I was talking: core jobs and non-core jobs. And this is not only valid for chemical engineering, but it is true for all forms of engineering. I think barring the computer science. So, in core jobs are basically those jobs which are dependent on the branch of engineering that you're doing. For example, it may be chemical, it may be electrical, it may be mechanical. So it depends on that. But the non-core jobs over here, all the branches can apply, right? It does not really depend on which branch you're from. But I think the higher packages in the non-core jobs, they look for computer science departments, computer science, IT. So the non-core jobs are more like some banking sector jobs, like like JP Morgan and those kinds of. Oh, by the way, this companies generally goes to IIT. And uh, if you get a non-IIT university, you may not really get a very high paying non-core, but anyway. So non-core jobs are related to IT sector jobs, where you basically where they need you to have coding skills and skills related to computer science, something related to software development, and this type of thing, then data management and stuff. Core jobs are dependent on which uh, branch of engineering you're belonging from. Like for example, if you're from chemical engineering, it may be some design oriented company where they ask you to design some sort of heat exchangers or pumps, or you may be stationed in some type of industry where you're checking what kind of products are coming from the pipes, and you're managing the whole industry. Now, when you're talking about government sector job and private sector job, the companies which will come to your universities are generally the private sector companies. Now, the government sector companies are, for getting a government job, you'll have to apply for an exam which is known as GATE. This GATE exam is a very important exam, and it plays a very important role for the higher studies aspect also. Like not only like if you give the GATE exam, it basically opens the gate to both getting government jobs and higher studies. And when I'm saying higher studies, I mean masters at IITs, NITs, and state universities. So one of the things which you can consider doing is preparing for the GATE exam if you are really interested for a government job, right? So this is true for all branches of engineering, not only specific to chemical engineering. Now, higher studies. So the thing is, if I have seen this, so out of a class of 30 students, I've seen only 2 or 3 people are interested in doing research. Like majority of these students are not really interested in research. Now, one of the reason for this is because when we are preparing for our joint exam and stuff, we do not really have much exposure to what research really means, right? We don't even know what research really means. So all we know is that we need to get this marks to get this particular cutoff and get into this university. So it's a very brutal way of destroying our interest, to be honest. Like a student is judged based on their marks on physics, chemistry, and maths. But when so the thing is, I have talked with many students from other countries, and what I realized was that over there they had this exposure to research at a very young age, even at 11, 12. And you won't believe it, like students who are currently in their class 11 are going to symposiums and attending various lecture talks. I mean, just imagine, we were not, at least I didn't get uh, these kind of opportunities when I was doing my 11 and 12. All I knew was that I'll have to score this much grades to get into IITs and or government universities and stuff like that. So that is a major reason why very few students go for research. But let me tell you that if you're interested in research, how to apply for it. So for research, you need to give the GATE exam. After giving the GATE exam, you can do your masters at IITs or NITs. So this is one of the way of getting started into research. The other way is that after giving the GATE exam, if you are unable to get a Master of Technology, okay, so the GATE exam is just like the JEE exam. Over there also you have this rank system and cutoff system. So if you are unable to get a good IIT or NIT masters, you can always apply for an MS degree. For a MS degree, the rank is like, so the cutoff is not that high. So even at lower cutoff, you will be able to get into IIT or NIT or any place. Now, if your main aim is to get a job, right? Okay, now, so there's another way. If you are getting into an NIT in your BTech, then you can directly go for PhD at any IITs. So some NITs have this advantage where the student can go directly to PhD. Like after giving the masters or MTech, there are other options also if you want to get into research. Yeah, so after doing your masters at any IITs, what you can do is you can go for a PhD at any IIT, or you can go for PhD at abroad. Now, I have already made many videos on how to get a PhD at like prestigious universities like Cornell and stuff. So you can watch that video if you think it will be beneficial for you. If you're doing your MS, then also you can do both these things, PhD at IIT or PhD at abroad. And from NIT, you can directly go at IIT for doing PhD. Now, those students who are already in IITs, for them, they have this opportunity of going to do PhD directly after their BTech. So this now, if you are from some like the students who are at IITs, they can directly do their PhD after they complete their BTech at foreign universities. But the same opportunity isn't there for those students who are doing their BTech at non-IIT universities. Now, this isn't entirely true though, because many of my juniors who were not from IIT, they also got very prestigious universities like Penn State University. and New York State University, New York, yeah. So it's not like you cannot, but it's just that it's kind of difficult. And if you're doing your BTech, I'd always suggest you to do a master's before going for a PhD, because in BTech, honestly, you do not really get a taste of research. The first time that you actually experience what research is when you're doing your master's. So, so that is a suggestion of mine, but you can do whatever you want. So this was an overall plan, so these are the areas where you can go after you have done your BTech. Now, let's talk about things which are specific to chemical engineers.